There, it's Keely, and welcome to my YouTube channel if you haven't been here before, and welcome back if you have. So, in anticipation for the For Rent expansion pack, I decided to build some dorms. So, right now, today, we are actually going to be building some UBright or University of Britechester dorms. And I did previously build some dorms for Foxbury on a smaller lot because the lots are actually pretty small in Discovery University, the ones that are not on the actual property of the universities. But for some reason, my files are corrupted or something, and they will not go into the software I use to do my very basic, not fancy audio recording and way that I speed up the videos. So I don't know if I'll be able to make a video on those or not, which is highly unfortunate because I was pretty happy with how those turned out. But yeah, we'll see. If not, they will at least be posted to my gallery account, just like this build. So all you have to do is search Keely Cat 4 on the gallery, or you could just look up the title of this item, but that's going to be the best way to find all of my builds. So here we are building the exterior of the dorm. So the idea I had for this is I wanted the dorm wings to kind of connect in the middle with a open breezeway in the middle that you could walk through that was technically still outside with these increasing height stairs that make them feel kind of grand and fancy on either side of this like breezeway that you can see I'm kind of working on right now. So that was the goal for this build, and I wanted to be more traditional, which honestly, I'm not really a real traditional person when it comes to building. I like them a little bit more of a modern style or a suburban contemporary type style. So this is a little bit out of my comfort zone, and it definitely was a nice challenge for me. So with this pack, if you find it on the gallery, you'll see that a lot of packs were used in the interior design of this pack. But for the most part, a lot of the exterior and just most of the interior revolves around three main packs, I believe. Discovery University and high school years. You know, it might just be two. I think those are our main two. High school years and Discovery University are the main two packs that I used. So here we are trying to find the outside, what colors I wanted all the stone to be. Looking for some doors. So frankly, I kind of like these ones from high school years better. And then I liked they had those nice big archways. So I turned this into the kind of style that I'm going for here is a more traditional old-timey style, but also with some Art Deco elements because I really liked the green that came with the high school years pack and these windows and doors and stuff. Well, I guess not the windows, but the doors and the archway. So it's kind of a mix between Art Deco and the more traditional style that you would see at the University of Britechester. So that's kind of the idea I'm going for here with this build, and I think it turned out pretty good. I tried a couple other windows and things from both packs, but nothing really quite struck me like the mix between the two. So here I am trying some more pieces here, and I find that it was highly unfortunate that they made this very nice fencing for Discovery University, but there is no equivalent railing. Why that is, I don't understand. So, yeah, that's kind of funky, but whatever, I guess. So here we go with figuring out some of the windows. I had this initially, and then I was like, I don't know, it's kind of a lot of windows. I was looking for different accessory pieces that I kind of want to use on the exterior of the building. And then I found these and I thought, oh, heck yeah, I really like that. So I ended up making those more of like an accent on the side there. And you'll see that I kind of recreate that on each side and each wing. And then I found these from Discovery University, kind of roof details. And I kind of plopped down all the items I wanted to come back and use later. And then I found this, what is it, like the freeze or whatever? I definitely was not saying that right. But yeah, so I had to go ahead and move some of those down. But yeah, I was pretty happy with how this was starting to turn out. Pretty basic, nothing too crazy, but still pretty and how I imagine it would look. So here I am doing the laborious task of putting in all of this green like roof fencing, which honestly looked kind of cool when I was speeding that up. Yeah, so here we go. Adding in some more columns and stuff like that. So I did a mix between the Art Deco columns and a mix between the ones from Britechester or a more traditional type column. depending on where I have them placed. So essentially, I'm just copying the same type of details I did on the front part of the building onto the back. Just seeing if there's any other like roof details or any other kind of details that I thought looked nice. I liked that one overhang, but it was just too modern. I didn't like any of the other ones, so unfortunately I did not keep those. Here we go, adding in more of these little details on the side of the building. Now, the reason I wanted to build these dorms is obviously For Rent is coming out and is not out yet at the time I believe I'm going to post this video. So I'm super excited. And one of the reasons why I wanted to rebuild the dorms and why I did the Foxbury dorms already and I wanted to go back and do these ones too is because I think it's kind of a frustrating thing that you could, like theoretically, maybe you want to place this on the actual campus. But I found that whenever I play with Discover University, the pack, it's so buggy. And the worst part of all of it is that if you have them live on campus, my Sims never make it to class on time. I don't know if this happens to you, let me know in the comments, but my Sims never seem to make it to class on time. They're always late because it takes them so long to leave their dorm, walk down the stairs, walk throughout the campus, and then they just stand outside the building for like ever and they won't go inside. And so it's super annoying because then they're always missing class and then they're not doing well. And so I ended up finding way more success with just having them live off campus and then they just go to a rabbit hole. And then maybe I wanted to go check out like the student center or whatever and get food and hang out there and do some homework or whatever for a little bit on certain days. But other than that, I found that it's just really extremely frustrating. So yeah, I wanted to build these off campus and imagine, air quotes, that they're on campus. So this is actually the lot of the library. So you can imagine that this is like the actual across from Britechester, which is the same idea I had with the Foxbury dorms, is to kind of imagine that they're just across the street, like, university apartments. They're like associated with the university, but technically they're also off campus. Excuse me. But yeah, another qualm that I have with the pack is that if you do any kind of on campus housing, you can't have a kitchen, which I get, but I don't get at the same time. So, like, right now I live in a dorm because I'm a college student, and my room doesn't have a full kitchen. It has a kitchenette, but there's a full kitchen on each floor except for like one or two floors. So I think there's like two or three kitchens in the building. And so you can just go to the like communal kitchen and cook something if you want it there. So I find it kind of frustrating that you couldn't at least have a dorm and then have a kitchen at all. So I wanted to build this also as an apartment and then have the kitchen, like a community kitchen and community living room as a common space. So then your Sims could still cook if they wanted to, or they could just do quick meals from their room. So I took that into account and I built a couple different types of dorms inside this building once we finally get to the inside layout, which, yeah, it's going to take a hot second. This build took me almost 5 hours. So yeah, I'm not the quickest builder and I tend to look through a lot of the items because I want to see exactly what I want to use. And I did add one or two things from debug, like that statue at the front there. But yeah, so that's kind of why I wanted to build these dorms off campus. One, so it's easier for you to actually play, and then they can just go to class and not be late every time. And then two, so then you can have a kitchen that they can use communally. And in this building and the other building, knowing that For Rent has a limit of 6 units without any cheats, I made only 6 units in this building and the Foxbury dorm that I'm telling you did not, for some reason, the audio recording and the video recordings are not letting me speed up the footage for some reason and just not working. Like I can view the footage, but it won't let me do anything with it. So anyways, I digress. I only made 6 units in both, knowing that was the limitation. So then you wouldn't have to worry about that. So there's that little breezeway I was talking about, so you can walk through and across to each of the dorms, adding in some more columns. I added some things outside in the front, like that little coffee stand or little like food shop, to kind of give the idea that this is a dorm and not just a residential spot. Adding in some places to sit. And then this is where I was like, wait a minute, why bother with that or that table when I can use that table, which just screams Britechester to me. So I have a bunch of those placed around the lot so you can enjoy some food outside if you'd like. Just kind of moving some things around. They were putting that little flag thingy at the back of the lot. I put in like the little stand so you could buy college items for the dorm, adding in some more places to sit. Everything's kind of coming together from the outside now. I ended up adding in some bicycles because, of course, what a headache they are to use on Foxbury's campus, though. I almost always have my Sims go to Foxbury just because I'm more of a modern type of gal. But if I did go back and play with University again and I had my Sims live in this dorm, I probably would go to Britechester. And it would be interesting because I can't say that I've really sent a lot of my Sims there. So here we go, adding in some lights just so things will be visible at night. Some more chairs. I even put in a little spot to sell some things off to the side there, you know, get a little side hustle going for your college kids. All right, so with that, we're almost done with the outside. Kind of adding in some signs here and some lights to our little breezeway here. Trying to look through all the stuff that came with Discover University if there's anything I'm missing that I wanted to include, adding in a couple seating spaces inside. Now kind of for the layout. So I wanted to make sure that there's these public bathrooms that you can be using. And because I had the elevated platforms, I have to add some type of platform in both sides here on the first floor so that your sim can actually like walk down from the stairs. So here I am working with that. And then for some reason, the railing bug was in full effect for whatever reason. I don't know. So that was quite irritating. I think what James Turner has mentioned that it's so annoying because I really like building stuff near my staircases just to, try to utilize that empty space. And apparently it also happens randomly. So I'm not a fan of that bug. So here I'm trying to figure out where I want my stairs to go. Adding in some light so we can actually see some things. Okay, so I imagine over here where I'm building right now with those stairs is going to be our stairs up to the actual living quarters. It's going to be our mail room and our common living space, like common living room. So those are kind of like the divisions that I have kind of set up in that room right now. And then over on the other side is where I want the communal kitchen to be. Okay, so up on the second floor, looking for somewhere to put our stairs. All right, so we have to draw in our units. So I wanted there to be a couple different types of units. So I imagine typically when you think of a dorm, or at least an American style dorm, you have a traditional dorm where you don't have a bathroom. You literally just have a space for two of your beds, two of your desks, and that's about it. And then you share a common bathroom with the floor. Then there's also a different style of dorm that I live in where you have your own room. It's a very small, I'd like to say a postage stamp type of room, and you can close the door and then you share a small common space with like a mini kitchen and a table and a bathroom, like a suite style of living. So I wanted to include both of those because I know that I would never make it in a traditional dorm. I have way too much trouble sleeping at night. I would not be able to do that. Plus, after living in a suite for 3 years, why would I want to live and share a bathroom with a whole floor of people? And like, what if you drink too much water late at night and you have to go pee? You gotta like, take a little trip all the way down to the end of the hall to go to the bathroom. Like, I would be like fully awake after that. All right, so I added lots of empty space and I tried not to decorate too much. One, because this building is very big and there's gonna be a lot of items anyways. And two, I didn't want to overload your computer. But also, I know the Sims tend to get a lot of projects sometimes, and you kind of want somewhere to put those. So I imagine that some of these extra hallways and things could be areas for your Sims to work on their projects and just place them there. In the meantime, if they don't have space in their room, maybe they just work out in the hallway, um, or in the common spaces and stuff like that. So it took me a while to figure out how I wanted the layout to be for these suite style dorms where they have two separate bedrooms, a common space, and a shared bathroom. It's a little bit of a struggle, as you can see, because I wanted the bedrooms to be roughly equal, and then they both needed access to the common space and they both needed access to the bathroom, but not access to each other's bedroom. Plus, the windows had to be kind of low down because of the freeze. At least it looked kind of odd. So that's why all the windows are really low on the third floor. So the second floor has the traditional suites, three traditional suite rooms, and the top floor, the third floor, has three um, like two-person rooms, single suites with a shared common space on the second floor. So there's everything starting to come together, looking for some flooring. Of course, I had to go for this from high school years. I've really been liking this flooring from Eco Lifestyle recently, so I went and used that for most of the other spaces. I thought this little crest from high school years was kind of similar to the Britechester one, so I thought that'd be perfect to put in there. In the mailroom, and then when the pack actually comes out, you can replace those with the legitimate mailboxes that you need for when you have multiple people living in the same building. Checking out how things look at night. And then I was gonna put these flags up, and I was like, yeah, that looks kind of good. And I was like, I don't know, the roof looks kind of empty. But I was like, it's fine. Or so I thought. Put in some traits there, some study space, and then after looking at some of the other dorms, I was like, no, this needs a roof. We can't just leave it like this. So here's my quick foray into figuring out how I was going to do the roofing here, and I couldn't figure out why these didn't line up right. As you can see, I'm clearly struggling with this. I'd like to say that I am just an average builder, or slightly maybe a little bit above average. I understand mainly how a lot of the details work in The Sims, but you know, I'm not always the most adept at figuring all of these things out. A little bit of a learning curve. So then I added in some of these little windows and dormers, and I thought it turned out pretty good, to be honest. It kind of reminded me of some of the other dorms that are on the Britechester campus, roughly, without referencing them again. I was like, I think they look like this. So I thought it matched pretty good. I was pretty happy with that, just trying to figure out what roofing tiles I wanted to use. All right, so now that we're done with the roof, we can actually go in and start decorating, which probably took, as you can see, took the longest part of this video, is just decorating everything. So here's our first common floor bathroom, connected to the kitchen. Nothing too crazy here. Just a nice quick bathroom. All right, now we've got our common kitchen. That way Sims can actually come down and make a meal, and then your Sims don't get tired of eating quick meals. But if your Sim is lazy and doesn't feel like cooking, you could just have them live off quick meals in their room. I think I put at least one fridge in each room. So if it was the traditional dorms, I put one fridge in the entire room, and then if it was the suite ones, I put one fridge in the common space for both Sims to share. So this took a little bit more of a modern twist here in the dining space a little bit. Trying to figure out these curtains was an impossible task because nothing really fit them the way that I wanted them to, or at least if they did, I didn't like the pattern. So this took me an embarrassing amount of time. I'm going to be honest with you. Of course, those like really opulent ones fit, but they're so expensive and I didn't like them at all. All right, so here we go. We got more of our traditional Britechester tables, putting up some little decor items and menus and stuff and pictures of Britechester. Some more tables. After building this, I was like, man, I get all this extra space. Like, what am I going to do with this extra space? So I was like, all right, maybe I'll make like a coffee bar or something. So I put in like a popcorn maker and a coffee maker. I know as soon as I load this game up, my Sims are just constantly going to try to come down here to make coffee anytime they're tired, which is so annoying, but it's whatever. With The Sims 4 for rent coming out soon, do you plan to buy the pack, or what is your thing that you're most excited about if you do plan to buy the pack? Type in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. So here we are finishing up our mailroom. I threw in a little trash chute. And I want to add in some traditional couches and little seating here. Ended up putting in like a little table. Maybe you want to write a letter to your family. Alrighty, so there's our mailroom. Now onto the common space. I know I really want to use that fireplace. So I put that in there first, tried to find a swatch of the rug that I liked, and went in with some like purpley colors. I feel like I don't use that often. Put in some more items for your Sims to kind of spend their time with. Of course, some gorgeous bookshelves. Just some little decor elements. Took me a while to figure out what I wanted to put in that corner, if I wanted to put anything in that corner at all. Some more windows to get some natural light in here. So this is the main living space. In the Foxbury build, I ended up doing like a basement to have a bunch of these living spaces in there. But yeah, so this is like our little reading nook and just typical living room for the floor. They're in some more little wall decor items to kind of give the Foxbury, or not the Foxbury, excuse me, the U-Bright vibe. All right, so we're back over in the kitchen here. And now we're into the stairway, just as I said that. Oh, and now we're back again. Just kidding. Oh, fire extinguisher. I was just looking for it. We'll get back to it. There it was. The sniffles are hitting me hard, guys. It's a struggle. Allergy season. Well, all the time is allergy season for me, but I'm struggling. All right, so some more tables for your Sims to sit at and eat. All right, now we're on another floor. Putting in some curtains, just some typical plain colors. Another one of our bathrooms. Pretty typical, just putting in some, laundry baskets and storage spaces and things like that, since this is the communal bathroom with the showers. So these are our traditional suites. So I did a couple different designs. So I went with some of these more traditional beds. I had some with a little bit more modern beds and furniture, and some with beds and furniture from high school years. So I switched it up a little bit. Because all of the matching like dorm furniture from the Discover University pack is just so fun, in my opinion. But I didn't do that for all the dorms because this is not a modern type university. They're probably gonna have older style beds like the furniture that you see in this dorm. So I did a little mix between the two. So here's one of our traditional rooms in green. Just looking for some cute little green accents. Anything to kind of fill out the space, you know what I mean? I tried not to go too crazy with the decorations here because this building is so much bigger than the Foxbury one. I did a lot of like specialized things and tried to imagine the type of people that might live in the rooms, but I didn't do as crazy of decoration in this one just because this is such a big building and I don't want it to lag immensely. So certain rooms I did a little bit more than others. So here's one of the rooms where I did a little bit more modern style. And there's some items I wanted to include in that common space when you come up the landing. I just did this one all like green themed, and this is also where I think I recalled that I did not put a fridge in the other room. At least I'm looking at it now and I'm like, I don't think I put a fridge in the other room. I'm seeing it in this room, but we'll see how long it takes for me to go back and fix that if I didn't already. Putting in some clutter, just to kind of fill out the space. All right, on to the next one. So I tried out a bunch of the different beds. This one I did a little bit more of like a darker color scheme because I'd kind of done more of a green for the last two rooms, and then one of them being themed by the university's colors. All right, so we got some blacks and blues and things like that. And this room was actually kind of big, so I ended up putting in some entertainment areas in here. This room was way bigger. But yeah, so I was able to add in some more details. I was pretty happy with how this one turned out. Putting in some little stereos and stuff like that. Some clutter stuff from high school years, just to make the space look a little bit more lived in. All right, so we got another one of our floor bathrooms. Nothing too fancy, just kind of getting our bare necessities. All right, so here is one of the common spaces when you go up the first floor stairs to the second floor. I want to include some of the items that I imagine, your sim might need in a college setting. So, the pong table, the cake stand thing, maybe their robotics student, the stereo, some sitting spaces. Just somewhere nice for your sim to work and also, play around a little bit. All right, let's see here. Okay, so now we're on the third floor. So in addition to the 3 units on this floor, I ended up putting in a study space. So a more traditional space, and you'll see later that I put in some computers, some research stations, and just empty desks. So if your sim didn't want to study in their room at their own desk, they could do that. I really liked the furniture from high school years, so I ended up using some of the more traditional furniture items with a couple more modern flares twisted in there in these two rooms. So these are the suites where you have your own little living space in addition to a common space. Imagine that person maybe liked some nature. Oh, there it is. That's how long it took me to figure out I didn't have a fridge in some of those rooms. Shocking. But yeah, so I did that one a little bit nature themed right there. Put in like a little TV with some plants and stuff. Some of the rooms have computers and laptops, some of them don't. It all depends. Some more clutter items and books, all that kind of jazz. All right. So got some fun colors going on for those rooms there, throwing in our curtains. So this person I imagine really likes pink. They're all about it. I even went in with one of those little canopies, which I thought was super fun. I hadn't used so far. A little entertainment space. All right. So that's kind of wrapping up those two individual rooms before we get off to the common space. So up at the front there by the windows, we're going to have the bathroom and then our little common mini kitchen, in addition to a little sitting area and our mini fridge. So if you wanted, your Sims could make a quick meal in their room, or if they wanted, they could go down to the kitchen and make a legitimate meal. So this room is kind of like the kind of room I live in at college, where I have my own room, my roommate has her own room, they just connect to a common living space. And we have a little table and stuff like that. All right, so we're almost done with this unit, to be honest. It's turning out pretty good in my opinion. Just some pretty basic stuff, nothing too crazy. Nice little sitting spot. All right, onto the bathroom. Just some pretty basic necessities in here, matching up some stuff. Absolutely love those tiles that came with growing together. I use them all the time. So I kind of did a mix between modern and traditional styles in the inside of this room. Maybe some rooms got updated, some rooms didn't. It all depended on what the funds allowed, I'd like to imagine. So there's those open spaces in the hallways I talked about earlier where you could work on your projects, and I ended up adding a little sitting space right here where we're kind of working on right now. All right, so this is that little office space I was talking about where your Sims could come to work in a nice quiet space, either at a computer if they didn't have their own, or at a research station. So I tried to add in some other little podiums and things like that for your Sims to use throughout the building, give them a reason to kind of go around to the different floors, you know what I mean? So here's that study space I was talking about. With the computers, the empty desks, and the research stations. And then also some places to just sit and enjoy a nice book. All right, so here we are back to yet another bathroom. After this build, I designed so many bedrooms and so many bathrooms. I was like, whew, I am done. All right, so here we go for another one of our bedrooms. At this point, I was bored of using the same um, beds and stuff. So you'll see that I end up designing one kind of based off of like the horse ranch pack because I was able to get some of the wood tones to match. So I was like, you know what, forget it. We're going to make this one a little bit more country just because I just want to see something else. And these still looked a little bit more old-timey. I imagine that maybe, the university got some pieces from some different locations, some rooms, it's all the uniqueness. A lot of dorms all have the same thing, so I like to imagine that this dorm at least has some more unique furniture in it. It's The Sims. Who says they can't? So here's another one of our little mini kitchen spaces. Pretty typical in all the rooms. I just tried to make them a little bit different in all of them. And of course, those windows are at such a weird height just because of the outside um, items. And then I also forgot some trash cans. So I was like, let me go back and add some trash cans. Whoops. Oopsies. All right, so there's a little common space. And then here we have another bedroom. I used one of the more traditional beds that came with the pack. Some more desks, just, a little space to kind of hang out, nothing too crazy, and then our bathroom. Alrighty, so at this point we've furnished most of the building. We're getting towards the end. There's only a minute or two left of the video, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said before, this build will be available on the gallery. You can search it up. And from my understanding, it should be pretty easy to convert this into an actual apartment. Like I said, there'll be 6 units, which is the max amount of units you can have for rent. So it should translate over pretty good. Honestly, I've thought about taking my heir for my horse ranch pack to live in one of these builds and start college a little bit early, but we shall see. I might just wait. So here I went for the green theme again, and then switched up with some of this more modern furniture again in this room and went for the blue, just to keep it a little bit more exciting. I imagine this student also was really into sports, so I added in some soccer balls and I ended up adding in some trophies and stuff like that. To kind of imagine that they had played football and they brought a bunch of that stuff with them. All right, so here we go. We are on to the common bathroom that'll be shared by these two people, and then next we'll have the common living space, and that's all that there is for this build. We've kind of built everything else. I went for a darker tone for the kitchen in this one because I hadn't done that yet. Nice little small space. This common space was actually pretty big too. Um, so I tried to figure out ways to use up some more space. Looking for some nice rugs to match and a little sitting space with a entertainment area. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and here's the final look of the build. Bye!